don't know if you can see, but there's a natural little stream that runs around here. I am getting a lot of new growth here. This is, I guess, seedlings from some of the trees, but in the past, this has been a little bit open, and you can actually see some of the water and then some of the trees in the background. So if you notice, a lot of my images have some water in it, and so some of it is based on this little stream here. There's a pond right over here, a little pond, and when there's not as much trees around, you can actually see a lot of that water. And I use the sun setting over here, looking through the trees, showing a little bit of that water. And then, you know, I will go, a lot of times I'll go maybe a mile that way or a mile this way, but I got this whole area really has a lot to offer. So. What's my painting method, or what I want to show, is that I want to show reality. I consider myself a realist, so I want people to look at my work and say, yeah, that's a scene from a water scene, maybe trees and whatever from a swamp, and that's what I want to show. I do like color, but then there is something about when I'm up close, I want you to realize that this is a painting. I'm not trying to make an illusion that this is a photo or this is reality. I want you to say, this is a painting. And when you look up close at some of this stuff, you might even see some just blobs of paint, just a little blob or a drip. Let's see if I can, here's a nice little drip. What I'm trying to show is that as I'm painting, I'm working, and then I make marks with the paint, drips, and I decide that, well, I need that color change to help to represent. And then as you step farther back, it melds in with the painting and becomes just other elements. It could be a reflection, it could be, here's some more drips. I'm trying to find some more, like right here, this one, I wanted some bright yellow, bam, throw that yellow in there. And back here, you see it as just, the reflection of whatever's up there. But basically, I want you to say, look at this is a painting, I'm throwing the paint around. When you stand back, it becomes the environment that I was there, it's observing. It's almost abstract. There you go. Yeah, here's some more drips up in here. We just throw through the paint and drip down. I said, I like it. Maybe it represents a tree or whatever could be in that background. That's good. And this one over here, you know, as I'm painting, I decided that this area was a little dark. I needed to break it up a little bit because it was just such a big, dark area going right through it. So as I was painting, a few drips came through, and I said, I'm going to leave that in there because it did exactly what I wanted to do. It broke up that area. As you get back and look at it, it just becomes something else in the painting, something else in the environment. It could be a tree, it could be something. And also, when I'm painting the sky, I don't want to just paint a perfectly smooth area. I want to see brush strokes and little marks that I'm making. To me, it gets more interesting when you see all that stuff. You see my hand, you see the artist's hand working. I don't want to do like an airbrush scene. It doesn't attract me. I won a contest when I was 3 years old. My mother entered one of my drawings into a Casper the Friendly Ghost cereal contest, and I won a rocking horse. So at that moment, I thought, wow, doing work, and I get rocking horses, this is great. So that was when I started. I've always been interested in art, though, all through school. Why I started painting trees, or this series, was really based on my MFA degree. We had to try and paint something that was really personal, something that meant something to us. I was with some other candidates, and one person was from Cuba, and his painting thesis was about his American-Cuban experience. Another woman had breast cancer, so she explored that territory in her thesis. And I was saying, what can I do that would be personal? And I said, where I live. And this is really where I live. This is my backyard. I live My wife and I and our children live by the Great Swamp Wildlife Refuge, and all these paintings are within a mile of where I live. And they represent walks with my wife, with my children, with our dogs. And I could tell you pretty much every spot here, I've been there. And I think that's really important to me. Why I like the light or the sun, I think that's something primal in all of us. I know that my wife and I really love that time of the day when the sun is setting, also when the sun's rising. As an artist, I don't see that too much because we're up late usually. But I do think that it's something primal about us. There's been many societies that worship the sun. So I just really started saying, I'm going to do this. I want to paint, the warmth of the sun, and I think it has something sublime to it as well. Thus, that would be our title, the Nature Sublime. Really, what I'm trying to convey is that nature is frail and fragile and fleeting. And that's why we titled a lot of these, for instance, trees, June 24th, 555, because that image isn't here anymore. Like, this image exists now because I captured it. If I went back to this spot, it looks totally different. And then today it's a rainy day, it would look extremely different. So I'm sort of saying that, hey, nature is really not as powerful as we think because it's ever changing. And what would happen if we decided to build an airport over this land, which it was. This land was earmarked to be an airport. And I think you might know this, that it then moved, I think, to Newark. So this might not be here. And that's another thing that I really try to show in my art. There's also the memory thing, which I just touched on, that I have a lot of memories wrapped up in this. Well, it starts with the walks, going out, looking around, exploring. I like to catch that feeling personally, be there. Then I take some photo reference. Sometimes I'll bring my sketching materials, my watercolors, and I'll do a little on-the-spot sketch. I wish I had more time for that. I'm teaching at CCM, and it takes up a lot of time, so I really don't have that luxury anymore of just painting on the spot. I love to do that, but I try taking photo reference and bringing it back to my studio. I bring it into the computer, and then I mess around with that. I enhance colors, I remove trees. I try to make it a little bit more desirable compositionally based on 2D design, maybe a little color theory. So I mess around with it there, then I kick out an image, and from there I go to the canvas and I just start my painting process with oils. I work in oils. I do like to do little watercolor comps, but that's pretty much, it's oil on linen. The linen is raw, which means I'm priming it with a clear polyurethane primer so I could see that canvas. So we start out with a brown. Sometimes you can actually see it in the painting popping through. Like, here's some of the brown canvas. I just like that feel, that texture, and it looks good on the sides. It complements it. It looks earthy. Yeah, my family was really supportive. And oddly, my father was a cop. My mother was like a nurse. She started out as a nurse, and she moved on to other things. And so I was really a blue-collar family, and I thought it was really exceptional that they said, hey, let's develop this in him. He seems to be destined for this. So it was kind of fun. I wouldn't do anything else. This is what I have to do. And to make a career out of it, teaching art and painting and gallery work, it's just, I couldn't ask for anything more. I started at a little community college outside of Chicago. Yeah, the best thing was finance. I mean, it was very reasonable. Surprisingly, and this should be known, that the professors are just as good at the community colleges as they are at larger colleges. And so I did get that benefit of having a good education at a nice price. I want to be personable and approachable to my students. I want them to be able to come to me and ask questions. I feel that as a teacher, that's my job. I want them to learn. And I had teachers in the past when I was younger, and they were not approachable. So I really want the students to be able to say, geez, I don't know how to do this. How do I do it? And I'll tell them, or I'll show them. So I think that's really important, that I have that connection with the students. Well, I love to see when someone comes in as an average person, and all of a sudden, in a few months, they're doing above average work. It just makes me feel good, and to see them so happy at their achievements, it's delightful. My inspirations, since I call myself a Neo-Impressionist, a Neo-Romantic, you'd have to go back to Monet, would be one, Turner, another. But then there's a lot of American artists that I really have done research on, like George Inness, Daniel Garber, Henry Twatchman. There's a lot of American artists that are doing impressionistic work, or they were rather. This is, from the 1800s till 1910s or 20s, that don't get as much recognition, that were just as good, if not better, than some of the big French impressionists. And when I look at their work, I see all this inspiration that I just grab and try and put into my work, and try and make mine a little different, but I'm definitely looking at some of those artists. How do I stay fresh as an artist is, I think teaching is a wonderful way to do that. I look at the students' work and I see that they're doing all this things that I wouldn't think of, because sometimes they don't know and they just try something and I go, wow, that worked. So I see that, and I want to stay one step ahead too. I want to be, a little bit better, so I'll keep pushing myself. I don't like to stay long at one spot. In fact, when I'm doing a painting like this, I'll look at it after I've done it, and I'll see things that I think I could have done better. And then in the next painting, I'll try and implement that. I don't get to see them all like this. My studio is pretty small, so I see one painting, I take it off, put another one up, and I might be able to see the two of them, but I never see a room filled like this with every painting. So this is a real treat for me to come in and just go, wow, they all do look good together like this. And just to see a whole room of your stuff, it's sort of, I don't know, I'm just like, I'm bragging. I don't know, it's just, I like this. It's great. After the community college, I went to the American Academy of Art, which was a very prestigious school in Illinois, in Chicago. And I have basically an associate degree, so I have 2 associates. When I decided to teach, I needed to convert that into a bachelor's. So I went to Thomas Edison, and they were very helpful about getting all my credits in order. And I took a few classes, and then I was able to earn my bachelor's. After that, I went to New Jersey City University, about 3 or 4 years over there to get my MFA. And after that, that's it. I just started trying to get jobs teaching. My advice to young people would be to work hard. That's one thing I see that would, a lot of kids today might not want to put the work effort in, but that's what you got to do. You got to really work hard. The students that I see that get the most improvement are the ones that work the hardest. It's not a fluke. So they really need to work hard, study under as many professors as you can. I used to go out of my room and go watch other demos that were being held at my school just to see what other teachers were doing. I shouldn't say that because I was ditching, but I was going to another class, so that actually is okay, I think. But really learn from as many people as you can and work hard. My family now, my wife is an artist, so she totally understands, and we've been through ups and downs financially and trying to get jobs and going back to school, so she's 100% behind me. And my sons, they've grown up with art, so they think this is normal, that we paint like this. In fact, they all have artistic ability. My oldest stepson was at CCM for a while, majoring in art. He's decided to go take a break, and then he'll go somewhere. My youngest child is going to the University of Arts. He's an artist. And my middle child, he had all the talent, but he wants to get into physical therapy. But they've all been very supportive. They come to my openings. I have a lot of friends that are artists, so that's always helpful. So I do get a lot of support from lots of places. So my reaction to, I guess, a finished product, which would be a show, is like you go into a movie and you see your movie. Here's my movie, here's my show, and it's fantastic. Boy, to hear people say how wonderful this is, I've affected that person. That's really something that I adore. It's just, I get people saying, oh, I was out hunting with my father when I was young, and we saw this scene. Or I'm driving in my car and I see a Doney landscape. I've had that happen a few times. So it's kind of wonderful that I've kind of, inserted myself into other people's lives with my work. it's very fulfilling as an artist. I mean, this is, I think, what we all do. We all want to communicate, and I'm communicating here. This is my, this is my experience, and now you're seeing my experience. I'm represented by Broadfoot and Broadfoot. They have two spaces. One's in the Lower East Side on Orchard Street. The other one's up here in Boonton on Main Street. They've been really supportive. In fact, he was here at the opening saying, "I think I sold this one." So, I mean, it's really, he's doing a great job with, my career so far. What advice I would give to a student to make them want to continue in art at CCM? With all my students, I always tell them this is a tough path. Being an artist isn't easy. That's why there are little outlets, not little, but other careers that you might want to do with your art, like graphic design, industrial design, working in a museum. Anything to be around art is, I think, a success. I'm teaching at CCM to make my life the way I want it. If I could make a career out of just painting, it'd be a tough choice. I might want to do that, but I still enjoy teaching a little bit, and also have that security. So I recommend that to a lot of my students, to get maybe do a teaching career. But otherwise, anything in the arts is still a success, and then you can paint on the side, which a lot of people do. There's very, very few people that make 100% of their living off of painting. There are some, but it's a tough racket. So again, my advice would be that, you gotta just keep, if you wanna do this, you gotta dig down deep, work hard, maybe find another outlet for your money, whether it is as another gallery director or a museum director, teacher.
How did you end up in Morris County?
How did I end up here in Morris County? I came out here a long time ago, and we didn't have computers and fax machines, which we don't even have anymore. We didn't have, FedEx was in its infancy, and I started out as an illustrator, and I said, New York's where you want to be. It was the capital of the art world. A lot of publishing, a lot of advertising. So I said, this is where I want to make my career. This is where I had to be. So I came from Chicago, moved out here, and I love it out here. It's great. So there you go.